I had always been invisible, or so I thought. At 18 I was your typical wallflower, hiding in oversized hoodies and keeping my head low in the crowded halls of Ridgewood High. My crush on Dylan Hayes was my best-kept secret, or at least I thought it was. He was the star swimmer, golden-haired and golden-skinned, with a smile that made everyone feel like they mattered. To me, he was untouchable, a dream I didn't dare voice. But everything changed on a cold February evening, the night of the school's annual winter carnival. I had volunteered at the photo booth, a quiet job that kept me away from the chaos. The scent of cotton candy lingered in the air, and the sound of laughter echoed in the gymnasium. That's when Dylan walked in. He wasn't alone, of course. A flock of admirers followed him, their laughter blending into a cacophony of adoration. I ducked behind the camera, pretending to adjust the settings. He looked my way, or at least I thought he did. My heart raced as I turned my attention back to the camera. Elliot, right? I froze. Turning around, I found myself face to face with Dylan. He was even more perfect up close, his blue eyes piercing yet soft, his smile disarming. Yeah, I stammered, my voice barely audible over the thudding of my heart. Cool. Can you take our picture? He asked, gesturing to his friends. Sure, I replied, fumbling with the camera. My fingers felt clumsy, and my cheeks burned as I tried to focus on anything but him. Thanks, man. See you around. I thought that was it. A fleeting moment with the boy I adored from afar. But I was wrong. It was only the beginning. The next few weeks were strange. Dylan started showing up everywhere I went. At first I thought it was coincidence. He'd sit near me in the library, offer me a casual smile in the hallways, or strike up a conversation during lunch. I convinced myself he was just being friendly. Then the moments began to stack up. Once in the library he helped me retrieve a book from the top shelf, his arm brushing against mine. The slight touch lingered in my thoughts far longer than it should have. Another time, during a group project in biology, he complimented my handwriting as I scribbled notes. His voice so soft it felt like a secret, meant only for me. During gym class I twisted my ankle, and before I could even process the pain, Dylan was there, lifting me effortlessly and carrying me to the nurse's office. "You're lighter than I thought," he had teased, his grin boyish. My cheeks had burned, but something about the way he'd looked at me made my heart flutter.
Then the messages started. It began with an anonymous note slipped into my locker. "You're different, Elliot. I like that." I thought it was a prank and ignored it. But then came the texts. Late at night, my phone would buzz with messages from an unknown number. "Can't stop thinking about you. You're all I see, all I want." My stomach churned with a mix of excitement and unease. Could it be Dylan? Or was someone messing with me? I didn't tell anyone. The thought of Dylan reciprocating my feelings was intoxicating, but the intensity of the messages left me unsettled. One evening, as I walked home from my part-time job at the bookstore, I felt a presence behind me. The street was eerily quiet, the only sound the crunch of gravel underfoot. I quickened my pace, but so did the footsteps. "Elliot!" a voice called, stopping me in my tracks. I turned to see Dylan standing there, his face shadowed under the dim streetlight. "Dylan? What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice shaky. He stepped closer, too close. "I've been waiting for the right moment to tell you," he said, his voice low and intense. "I see you, Elliot. I've always seen you. You're not like the others." My heart raced. This was everything I had ever wanted to hear, yet something about his tone sent a chill down my spine. I don't know what to say," I stammered. "Say you feel the same," he said, his hand reaching out to touch my face. His touch was electric, but there was a desperation in his eyes that I couldn't ignore. "Dylan, this is a lot," I said, pulling back. "I need time to think." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Take all the time you need," he said. "I'll wait. I'd wait forever for you." The messages became more frequent, more intense. Dylan's behavior grew erratic. He'd show up at my house unannounced, leaving flowers on my doorstep. He'd call me late at night, his voice filled with longing. One night, I found him sitting outside my bedroom window, his eyes fixed on me through the glass. My chest tightened with fear as I opened the window. "Dylan, what are you doing here?" I whispered. "I couldn't stay away," he said. "You don't understand what you do to me, Elliot. You're everything. This isn't normal," I said, my voice trembling. "You're scaring me." His face fell, and for a moment he looked like a wounded animal. "I'm sorry," he said. I need you to see how much you mean to me." I wanted to believe him, but the lines between love and obsession had blurred. I couldn't tell if he genuinely cared for me or if he was consumed by something darker. The final straw came at the spring dance. I went with my friend Lucas, hoping a night out would help clear my mind. But Dylan was there, his eyes following me like a predator watching its prey. When Lucas and I stepped outside for some air, Dylan appeared out of the shadows. "Get away from him," he growled, shoving Lucas aside. "Dylan, stop!" I shouted, trying to pull him back, but his focus was solely on Lucas. "He doesn't deserve you," Dylan said, his voice shaking with rage. "No one does. You're mine, Elliot. You've always been mine." The security guards intervened before things could escalate further, but the damage was done. I knew I couldn't keep ignoring the signs. Dylan's love wasn't love at all. It was possession. Months passed. I hadn't seen or heard from Dylan since that night. Therapy had helped me begin to heal, but he lingered in the back of my mind like a ghost I couldn't shake. One rainy evening, as I walked home, I saw a figure standing under the streetlight outside my apartment building. My heart stopped. It was him. "Elliot!" Dylan called out, his voice trembling. "Please, just hear me out. I should have run." Every instinct screamed at me to leave, but something in his eyes, a brokenness I hadn't seen before, made me pause. "You shouldn't be here," I said, my voice firm but soft. "I know," he said, stepping closer. "I've been working on myself, Elliot. Therapy, medication, everything. I'm not the same person I was. I had to see you." Rain soaked us both as we stood there, silence stretching between us. I wanted to hate him, to push him away, but my heart betrayed me. All those moments, those intense gaze, those subtle touches. I have thought about them over and over, and I knew even if this was illogical and dangerous, I really wanted him in my life. I don't want him to disappear like that. "You hurt me, Dylan," I whispered, tears mixing with the rain. "You scared me." "I know," he said, his voice breaking. "And I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I'll do anything to make you comfortable. And if you ever feel like I'm crossing a line, you can leave me. But I can't live without you. I'll do my best for you. I am working hard on myself, and I'll continue doing so with your support." He looked like an abandoned puppy, his eyes pleading, his arms open and shaking. Against all logic, against every warning sign, I stepped closer. His arms wrapped around me, hesitant yet desperate, as if he feared I'd vanish. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't right. But in that moment, under the rain, I let myself believe in second chances, in the twisted, hopeless romance that was us.
Dylan's POV. Obsession wasn't something I chose. It crept in slowly, like a shadow I couldn't shake. At first, Elliot was just another face in the crowded halls, a quiet boy who blended into the background. But then I saw him smile, really smile, at something his friend said, and it hit me like a tidal wave. He wasn't invisible. He was radiant, and I hated how no one else seemed to notice. Following him started as an accident. I'd see him in the library or at the coffee shop near school, and I couldn't help but watch. He was so different from everyone else, soft-spoken, kind, and completely unaware of how beautiful he was. My chest would ache just being near him. But admiration turned into fixation. I told myself it was harmless, that I just wanted to know him, to be close to him. But the more I watched, the more I needed him. He became the center of my universe, and the idea of anyone else having him made my blood boil. When I left notes and texts, I thought I was showing him how special he was. I didn't see it as wrong, just passionate. But when I saw fear in his eyes that night at his window, something inside me cracked. I realized I wasn't protecting him, I was suffocating him. After the spring dance, when I saw how much I'd hurt him, I knew I had to change. Therapy was a slow, grueling process, forcing me to confront the darkness in myself. I learned that love wasn't about control, it was about letting go, about being better for the person you cared about. Standing in the rain outside his apartment, I knew I didn't deserve forgiveness. But seeing him, hearing his voice, gave me hope. I wasn't fixed, but I was trying. And for the first time, I wanted to be better. Just have a future with him.